Joined tonight by Leslie Neely. And Leslie, we now know Willie Cauley-Stein is not making the trip. He will not play in the game. What do you make of that for Kentucky? Do you like, I mean, we've talked a lot about how good the 7-footers look together, but Kentucky looked good against Auburn. What do you make of the absence of Willie Cauley-Stein?
The good news is Coach Cal said that he actually worked out on the treadmill, so it seemed to be a minor procedure that he's just, going through the motions, and I think it's good that he's actually setting out. It was such a good test for these guys when Nerlens Noel was in foul trouble and Wilcher and Goodwin had to step up. They need those 7-footers in there, but sometimes they're not going to be there, and it's one of those situations where it was good practice, and they actually did really well without them.
Earlier, we were sitting in the office and talking about when we think he's going to be back, just guessing, because it's such a mystery right now. People don't know really what's going on with him. I apparently am the most negative person in the office because I didn't think he was going to be back until right before the Florida game, that he'd be back and play a little bit against Auburn. Other people said LSU, South Carolina. How long do you think he will be out, and when do you expect to see him back?
I would go definitely not with LSU. South Carolina, I think, is more reasonable. I think Coach Cal is learning to be more lenient with these injuries, let these guys sit out and heal, because he's going to need a guy like Willie Cauley-Stein when it's tournament time. And if you give this guy enough time to heal, it's one of those lagging injuries since high school, and I think that he really needs this time just to heal up, and he's going to end up being a better player because of it.
And it will not haunt him when he's in his late 20s, but that's a personal thing, who had the high school knee injuries. But when you look at this team tonight against Alabama, it is a physical team. Every year, Anthony Grant, they will play great defense. They will most likely be ugly on offense. They have 3 guys shooting very well behind the arc: Levi Randolph, Trevor Relaford, Trevor Lacey, and then Devontae Pollard, a 5-star player who's been rough. But they'll play 8 or 9 guys and run with you. Is that a bad matchup for Kentucky?
I think both those Trevors are the ones to worry with. If you see a Trevor running down the court, you better watch out. Either one of them's going to hit a 3. They both combined for 29 points against their win over A&M, which was only 50-49. So they are running the court right now. And I think that Kentucky's going to have to play its best defense without one of their 7-footers, and that could be a challenge.
To me, this game is scary. And it's scary because every time, for years and years, I was in college during the Tubby Smith, the late Tubby years, where every time you went and played one of these maroon teams from the SEC West on the road, you're terrified you're going to lose, because they were good back then, Alabama, Mississippi State, but it was a dark gym. There's a lot of pushing, a lot of fighting. So that, to me, just like post-traumatic, scares me. But when you look at the matchups, they're a very physical team, and this is a game where if Kentucky wins, they're not going to get any credit for winning. But if they lose, even with Willie Cauley-Stein out there, then all of a sudden everybody's hitting the panic button again and wondering what kind of team they are. How much of a true test do you think this is? Win or lose from this game, how much do you think we'll be able to gauge where Kentucky is when this game's over?
I think if they lose, like you said, it's going to linger over their heads, because they need to learn to be a true road team, because being young, that is the real test. They did really good at Auburn. I think one of the better things they did was a good shot selection. They have been just throwing it up there, but Wilcher, Mays, Goodwin, just having better shot selection came down to doing a lot better. But I think that going to Alabama is going to be just a really tough test, because they're such a physical team, and it'll show how physical Kentucky can actually be to try and battle it out.
One of the turning moment, well, it was a little too late to be a turning point, but in the Auburn game, when Rob Chubb came through and he took that cheap shot, everybody, Nerlens got a little shove, Archie, they showed a little bit of fight. They didn't show Michael Kidd-Gilchrist fight, but they showed like a little bit that they have at least the potential to be that tough team. They're going to get punched in the mouth from the second the game starts tonight. At Auburn, when I look at that game, I was encouraged with the way it ended. But the way it started, if that was anybody but Auburn, Kentucky would have been down 15 points in the first 7-8 minutes, because they couldn't get a shot. They were playing out of sync. They were playing timid. They cannot start that way tonight. What is the most important thing heading into this game? Is it a fast start, or what do you want to see more than anything from this Kentucky team when they get to Tuscaloosa tonight?
You're right. They did get lucky in the first half with Auburn. I mean, it was just back and forth with both teams missing shots, and they're lucky that, like Elston Turner, that someone didn't get hot on the 3. I think what this team needs to do is trust each other. They showed that little bit of fight. I mean, Ryan Harrow was even in there. When something's wrong when Ryan Harrow's in there to fight. I think they really have to trust each other. They have to be a lot more confident out there on the court. You're playing Alabama, it's their T-shirt night. They're handing out 10,000 like white T-shirts. You know when you go down to another school, it's going to be a big battle. And I think they have to trust each other and make that good shot selection like they did last time, and not just get really worried and throw up balls wherever.
Do you think Alabama T-shirt, they automatically come with the sleeves off, or they have to go home and cut the sleeves off themselves?
You have to get a tat on your arm too before you go into the game.
And they're also going to have the worst fan in all of sports is the guy with the face of the face. First, it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen the first time I saw it. The guy that has the fat head of himself, not Stone Cold Willow, but it makes the face. I somehow came across him on Twitter today when I was reading stuff. He has the worst things he's saying about Cats. Such a troll. Anyway, but he's going to be all over the TV. But end of the game, what do you predict for the Cats in Alabama?
I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think the Cats win by 4, but it's going to come down to the wire, maybe some last-minute free throws. But I think it's going to be very physical.
I want to say the Cats win by 4 only because I don't want to say they're going to lose. But I've got to. I mean, this is going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
Alabama has big, strong athletes. They shoot the ball well, and they are going to attack Kentucky. And so we're going to leave, either saying, well, this team. If they lose, you say, they got beat by a pretty, physical team, bad matchup. If they win, I think we're going to feel really good about where they are because it's a huge test. So we will see.